I like the traditional ignorant culture of not praising. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. I guess, Dr. Sabine, if you permit me, I guess we added on another service, matrimonial services, to the Igna Center. That's what I got from his talk. A place where youth can come and inshallah they can be supervised and maybe find suitable partners instead of being in the struggle, so to speak. But I wanted to focus on the ayat that we started off with. And it's something amazing how Allah Ta'ala plans. It's definitely, at this level, there was not coordination. But the ayat of focus is the same ayat that was read. اتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. But I want to just focus on that concept that Allah Ta'ala in the Quran, if we think about the speech of Allah Ta'ala, sometimes we find that there is a command, a recommendation, a prohibition. This is a command, brothers and sisters. And so the reality that we confront here in the environment of Ali Imran is like, what is our position? What's our position as far as acting upon this ayah of the Quran? And we find that it's not always easy to implement the deen. So this is an attempt. What's going on in Igna, Chicago, with all our struggles and all our anxiety and so on and so forth of trying to do a good job. This is an attempt to implement the ayah of the Quran. This ayah of the Quran, if we go back and we read the Tafhim of Maulana Maududi, we realize that in this environment, which is very interesting by the way, Dr. Sadiq, how it relates to your point, because we know that in Ali Imran, the Quran is talking about the people of the book. And the Quran in this context is talking about where do we stand as a community. Not as individuals, not as a family here or family there, but where do we stand as a community as far as being able to maintain ourselves in our deen. After all, when we become parents, this is what we worry about with our children. How will they maintain themselves and how will they preserve themselves? After all, this is one of the reasons why, we have people from our community that have entered the congressional race because we're concerned about our community. We're concerned about its survival, its identity, the dignity of the community. After all, this is why in this context we do dawah, because we want to make sure that we fulfilled our responsibility to not only convey the message, but also build those types of relationships which will support us. We have to realize that this ayat comes in an environment in which the Muslims were being threatened. Their very existence was being threatened. The Quran came to teach us and give us this lesson, that in this environment in which there's multiple challenges, where people take the liberty to identify you the way that they want so that they humanize, the Quran is telling us to hold together. The Quran is telling us not to divide ourselves. And this is one of the most detrimental things that happens to a people when they're under pressure and displaced. When the Muslims left Mecca, they left Mecca because they were forced out. They were forced out of Mecca. And it was because of those dawah efforts that came before that Medina started to open up. And the Muslims started to be known and they had a place. And it was because of that effort that they had the opportunity to go to another place in which they were safe. We have to look at our reality as it is, brothers and sisters. The Muslim Ummah is under tremendous pressure. The Muslim Ummah, the Muslim individuals, Muslim families, Muslim youth, the elders, We're under a tremendous amount of pressure, spiritually, psychologically, on multiple levels. And we've tried a number of different things. We've tried to move into that neighborhood. That will be the neighborhood in which we can be the safe people. And then comes and follows us what we see in the society. We've tried to just blend in and hide, and that didn't work. We've tried a number of different things that will allow us to be able to survive. But one thing that we have not tried is to come together, to come together and hear the interesting thing about the habl of Allah ta'ala, or the rope of Allah, or hold firm to the rope of Allah. And that is a task. Is that the word can be interpreted by the scholars of tafsir of meaning either Imam, or meaning either the Quran, or meaning the Jama'ah. Some of the brothers, they have an internal joke going on. The issue about being unapologetically movement. In other words, that we have a certain type of message that we're communicating. And one of the messages that we're communicating is the issue of taking serious the ahad of Allah. And here we can interpret the ahad of Allah or the contract of Allah in two different ways. Some of us have taken a pledge to come together and work as a jama'ah, al-amal al-jama'i. Some of us have taken the pledge of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and some of us have said that's not enough. We also take a pledge that we're going to build for the ummah, that we're going to sacrifice for the ummah. And the way that we do that is a number of different ways. And those ways were just illustrated to you. But when we reflect upon what that means on a practical level, I want to leave you with this reflection. Mulana Ma'dudi, he made a plea and a title. Let us be Muslims. What does that mean? When we say let us be Muslims, we're saying let's renew our contract with Allah Ta'ala. Let's renew our relationship to each other. And he has a very powerful statement that sums up a lot of the aspiration here. He says, Rahmatullahi alayhi, it is necessary that no Muslim should be left alone and on his own in the torment of life while worshiping Allah. Muslims should come together to form strong communities to help each other in their life mission of serving Allah Ta'ala, obeying Allah, observing the Sharia, and promulgating the message to the world. Those who are faithful to Allah Ta'ala and those who reject Him are always afraid there's a struggle in the dunya in this regard. And so he says, individually Muslims cannot effectively resist this process. That's what we're presenting here. Can you do it individually? Is an honest question. There's a commitment that's necessary and needed. It's either you come and you join us in the effort, or you form your own effort, but there's no room for individual effort anymore. There's no room for us to operate as individuals and think that we're going to deal with the problem of our youth. Think that we're going to deal with the crisis of Iman. Think that we're going to deal with the brother and the sister that find themselves lost and on drugs, adults and youth and whatever it may be. Think that we can just challenge the reality of what goes on in Kashmir from this center alone, or what happens in any part of the Muslim world alone. Individually, Muslims cannot effectively resist this process, and it is therefore necessary for the true servants of Allah to join forces. And that's what we ask you here. We ask you to join forces with us on multiple levels. Primarily, we ask you to join forces with us to make this center a reality. We ask you to join forces with us to join and volunteer our efforts. And we ask some of you to join forces with us and make a commitment to a higher level process. Whether it's young Muslims, We ask you to take the next step. Muslim brothers, young Muslim sisters, to take the next step and to come into the organization. There's no shyness about that. Or whether it's some of you who are still trying to figure out, we heard what's going on. If you want to taste the reality, come and join us, do relief work. Come and join us and serve the homeless. Come and join us into the neighbor nets. Come and join us and engage an interfaith session so you can understand the dynamics and the challenges that the Muslims are going through. But come and join us in one way or another. Don't leave here without making some commitment to come and join us, either directly or indirectly. And so what we're hoping here is that this center won't be in competition with the other centers that are in this area, but that it will change the dynamic and the culture of the area that is in to complement what's going on, because we definitely have a gap. We have some masajid, they're good at doing what they do, but some people don't feel comfortable to get services from them. We have some educational institutions which they're great at what they do, but people may not feel that it fits with them. We have to have a place that allows people that maybe may not fit here or may not fit there. Some of you may find yourself that you don't even fit. We have to find a place where somewhere that we can fit and that we don't feel like strangers to our own deen or strangers to our own self. That's the reality. This is not just an issue of a prep fundraising speech. This is a speech that's trying to hit your heart and say, look, accept that we're in a crisis. Accept that the reality of the situation that we're in is a situation that's dire. Don't paint another picture. Because if you paint another picture as to what the situation is of the Muslim community, then what happens is you become like an ostrich. You know what the ostrich does? Who can tell me what the ostrich does? Who can tell me? The ostrich hides. The ostrich hides. And it leaves itself exposed to all kinds of enemies and beasts of prey and whatever it may be. And so we ask you, don't be the ostrich. We may differ on some points, but what we ask you is to take that bold stance and to be part of the time period that you live in right now. Don't wish that you were in this country or in this time period or under these situations. Take your role in history right now. And part of taking our role in history, one of the things that Dr. Sabine mentioned, which is extremely important, and you may not realize it at the moment, but he talked about those who made dawah in the past and how the deen came to your own community. There's people that went through a sacrifice in the process in order for that to achieve. Islam will not root itself after this generation that gives, and this generation that wants to preserve its identity, and this generation that wants to preserve its value. It will not root itself if we can't pass on the deen to our children. And we're failing at being effective in that. And that is the reality at the end of the day. It's not just going to come by saying, well, I'll make my child a hafiz of the Quran, or I'll send my child to learn to be an alim and that's it. Or I'll put my child in the Sunday school and that's it. What we're creating is an environment in which children, they live schizophrenic lives. Who can tell me, Sal, what's the schizophrenic life? Wait, we have to put you on the spot.
Two worlds.
What's the two worlds? Young Muslim who now became the president of ICNA.
It's your Muslim environment and then your non-Muslim environment.
What does that do to your person? How to construct knowledge.
Well,
Honestly, explain to the people who are at.
Your personality is one way with your family and with the Muslim community, and another way with outside of that environment.
Yes, and that puts our children and that puts us as parents. We don't know how to deal with our children sometimes, and it puts our youth in a situation in which they're struggling emotionally and spiritually, and they're trying their best, and they may find themselves that they don't even know how to implement the deen. They need a place to go to where they they can be affirmed and not judged. And the adults, the same thing. And I hate to tell you, brothers and sisters, don't get mad at me, but the sisters need a place to come to as well. That's a reality at the end of the day. Don't consider that we're liberalizing the deen. Don't consider, oh, what's going on here? That's not the reality. We're living in a challenge where, as individuals, as families, we're breaking down. Can we accept that it's true? Am I lying here or not? Somebody tell me if I'm telling the truth or not telling the truth.
It's true.
Huh? Is it this much true? Is it this much true? Or is it the reality that we're facing?
It has no size.
Huh?
It has no size.
No size? The struggle continues. So, I want to give the rest of my time to Sheikh Tariq, but before going, I want to ask you, what are you willing to do to meet the challenge? You can't leave here without being willing to do something to meet the challenge. And so we gave you a number of different ways of being able to participate, and we hope that you step to the occasion, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم الحمد لله.
My voice is getting lost. I have to use the mic now. I'm sorry, guys. Someone put ayn in my voice. Just kidding. So, alhamdulillah.